got some money for me, boy? I seen your name in our ledger.
You're a wanted man, Mr. Morgan.
Maybe when your mother's finished mourning your father, I'll keep her in black on your behalf. We got lawmen in 3 different states after us. They chased us from the west, they chased us over the mountains. Open the gun!
We'll need an extra gun.
This place ain't no such thing as civilized.
You're the only one of these fools that I trust.
Where's our money?
Do you have my bag?
Always, Dutch.
You're listening to The Play Pouch. Welcome back, everyone. This episode, we're joined by our favourite Horror Corner guest, Alan Priest. If you haven't checked out our 80s, Movies of the 80s podcast over on my other channel, Stockbridge Works, then you'll be missing out on Alan's very feature-rich Horror Corner segment, and he joins us today. How are you doing, Al?
I'm very well. You're too kind, sir. You're too kind.
Yeah, good. It did take a lot of work getting you.
It did, and I've been listening to you guys' podcasts on games, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Yes, as are we. This is a very special topic.
You're not going to announce me then, Pete? You're just going to ignore me in the corner, slinking in the corner then?
Yeah. No, of course, we have Nick. How are we doing, Nick, our resident partner?
I'm
here?
okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, Peter.
You sarky cunt. Okay. Anyway, yes, we are talking about one of our most favourite games of all time, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2. I think it's safe to say that it hit us all in the face. We didn't realise how good it was actually going to be. And speaking for myself personally, I just sank into it deeper and deeper. And I think I've clocked over 100 hours in that fucking game, to be honest.
Did we all play the first game?
Yes.
Did we all finish the first game?
Yes.
Right, so we're all up to date, so we all know that we all came into it knowing obviously what happens in the original game. Just making sure.
This game is literally just, I don't know how they did it, but they did. And it is, I think it goes beyond a AAA title. I think this is like a sort of...
Quadruple A?
Well, you could say quadruple A, but it's more of like, I kind of always felt like it was a movie production more than a game.
That's fair.
You know, because
Pete, do you think only Rockstar, with their resources, could have pulled this off? Are they the only company that's big enough, considering they probably are the biggest games company in the world with the GTA series?
Yeah.
Could it be only could have pulled this off? Could have anyone else?
Almost. I think there's probably only one or two other companies that could have done something similar, but I don't think that they would have come close in terms of there weren't any fucking bugs really. I mean, I didn't
No, there wasn't
any.
That's the thing about Rockstar games; they are pretty much bug free.
Yeah.
For the size, the scale, how much content you have, they're actually pretty bug free. I'll give Rockstar props for that. I know there's rumours and reports of them treating their stuff badly and whatnot, but the product you get at the end, the staff there should pat themselves on the back. They did a fantastic job.
Their QA is pretty high quality. I mean, as Alan said, the reasons for maybe they were overworked. Maybe that's the reason why. But you can't really argue with the end results when it comes to stability and stuff like that. Can you?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, company ethics aside, they pulled it out of the bag, man, and slapped our face with it. It was just so engaging, the whole thing. It was literally like watching Ben-Hur or like, you know, something of that caliber. And you felt involved as well. And I mean, the mechanics of the game maybe at times were a bit sort of slow, and there were some animations that were taking its time, especially when it comes to skinning animals and hunting and all that kind of thing. That only served to sort of bring you into that world more. And, you know, some things you just can't skip, I guess. But the way they did it was just actually really special.
Regarding the mechanics, I think that Red Dead has very few flaws as a video game. and I think not being able to delay certain animations is one of the drawbacks of the game. For example, like like when you enter your camp, right?
Yeah.
You can't run.
That's true. Yeah, you can only walk around, can't you?
You can only walk, and it's like okay, so that's fine. But if you're also at the other side of the camp, I just don't want to have to walk. I know we're only talking about what 10 extra seconds, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. But it's little things like that.
Yeah.
That I don't know why it's there. If I want to run in a camp, then let me run in a camp. If I've skinned an animal once or twice and I've seen the animation, just do like they do in kind of Far Cry or whatever, and just have me hold the button down or whatever it is, and then just do it quickly because I've seen it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially, and also when you're doing the looting, so you're looting enemies, and of course you kill quite a lot of dudes in this game. And the way looting works as well, you pack them all up and down. It's just like okay, for the first couple of times that's cool, but if you've killed 10 blokes, it's going to take you longer than it should to loot them all. And again, we're only talking about an extra 2 seconds maybe, but 2 seconds times 10, if you're looting 10 bodies, that's 20 seconds. It's unnecessary. But if that's the biggest flaw in your game, then you've got a good game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're literally nitpicking here.
It is a nitpick, yeah.
But, like, it all served to sort of, I mean, I know why they did it. It was just, like, to get you, engrossed. And, yeah. It did work for me. I mean, I never really was bothered by it. The only thing that I was really bothered by was the justice system.
Oh, Pete! Oh my goodness gracious!
But I mean, like we'll discuss that more in a bit. Alan, what are your feelings on the mechanics? Did any of this shit bother you?
No, not really. I was sucked at the hand-to-hand combat. There's that early mission where you have to get what's his face from the bar, and you have this big fist fight with this this dude in the saloon.
Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny. Yes,
Lenny.
that's it.
Yeah.
Lenny.
I don't know, for some reason the fist fight mechanics just were a bit off. Again, I'm nitpicking.
There was a bit of a delay, and you'd press the button, and I think he would do the action after after a bit, but. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Other than that, I think the game was more or less perfect.
Yeah, so this justice system, it was just like you'd be in the middle of fucking nowhere, and someone would just really just piss you off, so you'd cap him for whatever reason. You'd shoot him in the head, and then some bellend spots you, right?
Yeah.
Someone just happens to be riding down the path.
Sorry, guys, I'm just laughing at some of the parodies. I know that some of you have seen some of the same parodies I have.
Yeah, no, it's true. So you get on your horse and you chase after him, right? And then you shoot him down, which is awesome. You think you've done it, but then someone else has spotted you do that.
It's like a chain that keeps continuing.
Yeah. And then there's always like a garrison of policemen hiding behind a tree somewhere, and they just sort of, I mean, it takes a while for them to come, to be fair, but it feels like they're never too far away.
Yeah.
I did something once, and this comes from me just having a bad day, a real life bad day, me coming home and putting on Red Dead, and then just going into the first town. I forget the name, but it's not. Is it Strawberry? It might be Strawberry.
Valentine.
Yeah, that's it. And there's where the sheriff's office is. It's quite small, right? So it's confined. And I remember going in there, killing all the sheriffs, getting as high bounty as I could, and then sitting in the corner and watching them funnel in one at a time. And I would keep killing them and killing them and killing them, and there'd be so many coming that the dead bodies would be nearly up to the ceiling. And I would just keep shooting them and keep shooting until I ran out of bullets. And I just wanted to see how many would spawn. If there was a limit, a physical limit as to how many would come after you. There is no physical limit.
Yeah,
they are infinite.
I didn't think there would be, to be honest.
And I spent a good half an hour just sitting in the corner shooting until all my guns had run out of ammo. So I must have killed at least 500. There must have been at least 500 then. And there was bodies everywhere, and my frame rate was dying, as you can imagine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the side missions, we'll talk about the main quest in a bit, but the side missions were nice. I mean, they would have been things like, oh, hunt this animal or hunt this herb or whatever, find this or find that. But I enjoyed it, and I ended up completing pretty much all of that. And there were actual sort of, side quests and stuff that engaged you as well. Yeah, I mean, what did you think, Nick?
Yeah, well, a lot of the side quests actually came from your members from your camp. So a lot of times, for example, I can't remember the black lady. There's certain quests that apply to her, and she's getting harassed by basically racist characters because of like her color of her skin and all the whole slavery stuff. So there's a whole bunch of side missions attached to her and other characters as well. So nearly every kind of background character in your camp, normally there's just a couple of quests that are all about them, and through them you get to learn a bit more about the characters and stuff like that. And then there's also a quest line with it's Arthur's ex-wife, I think, isn't it? There's some quest line to do with Arthur's ex-wife and stuff like that, which tries to flesh out his background and stuff like that. So that was a good way of having the side quests feel important and obviously gaining information about all the different characters in your party. So yeah, I liked them.
Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed them. One in particular was the serial killer one, where you find dead bodies. I think there's 3 of them you find with maps.
Yeah,
they all link to a place not far from Valentine. Spoiler alert. And yeah, you confront this killer, and it's well freaky.
There was a vampire quest as well. Did anyone do that?
Heard of it, but I never managed to find out where it was.
Vampire quest. I think I did.
It was in the main big town, as I recall. And
is it the French town? The French-sounding town?
Oh,
I remember what it's called.
Saint Denis.
Saint Denis, yeah.
Saint Denis,
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, there was so much that I, probably would have missed, but it did feel like I, did a lot. And
did you get all the dinosaur bones?
Couldn't tell you. I might have.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't think I did actually.
Okay.
I did some.
I think I got them. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them all.
The main storyline, it's kind of ambiguous when you start off, because it is just literally you and your crew trying to find, a safe place to camp for a while, and as the story sort of goes on, you start robbing trains, and the shit goes wrong, and there's lots of betrayals and things like that. Micah is a good example.
Yeah,
it's very rogue.
I mean, that does actually bring me now we're on to the main quest. It does actually bring me with another flaw. Sounds like I hate the game, doesn't it? Another flaw, which is the start. Are we all agreed that? I remember playing it and it didn't get me at the start, and I remember talking to Alan about it. I was just like, I played a couple of hours. I don't like being stuck in the snow.
Yeah.
It's not grabbing me. And it's like, and I think maybe Alan, you might have said to me like, well, just kind of persevere and it kind of gets better, which it does. But for the first 2 hours, it's the tutorial area, but it is a very slow starter. It is. And that,
it's a slow burn. Yeah, it's a slow burn.
It is a very slow burn, and I did find it a little boring at the start.
Mm.
I did. I did. And
did you know though you could actually get one of the fastest horses in the game at the start?
What, in the snow area? No.
Yep. Yes, you can.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a white Arabian.
That's right.
So I remember hunting for the fastest horse in the game. Is like it's not a snow area, but there's like a little kind of glacial part much later on in the game, and it's like it's rare spawn. I remember doing that.
As I recall, there's 2 Arabians in the game, or something. The 2 of the best, and one was black, and one was white. And I think the black one you get through a crest towards the end. I might be wrong, but
possibly.
The white one is roaming near the start area. Yeah.
Yep. As soon as you get the ability to use a lasso, which I think you get from the 2nd or 3rd main quest, you can then go and get this horse. It's a pain in the arse if you don't. Because one of the things I didn't enjoy was actually taming these horses.
Yeah, they were.
Well, like breaking them in. Yeah.
Yeah, breaking them in. That's the one. Yeah, bit of a pain in the ass to do.
But when you actually get out of the snow and you move to your second camp location, things just start to open up, and you get these there's these money bounties or something from the is it the tax collector guy or something in your group? I can't remember who it is.
Yeah.
Herr Strauss.
Yeah. That's him. Yeah.
So you have to do stuff for him.
Yeah.
I must actually mention here that the whole what's the word I'm looking for? The whole pacing of the game was just absolutely superb. The way it kind of the camera sort of like flies out to sort of like these flyby views as your camp is traveling to another spot, and it's all done like so well, and you know that you're in good hands when it comes to a Rockstar game. And when you start playing Red Dead 2, you can feel that quality and you can feel that presence there. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a fantastic game pretty much from the start, actually. Yeah, it's just I just wish that I had a more powerful system to run it on.
Did you play it on Xbox or PC?
It was on Xbox.
Yeah.
But when I sort of upgrade my system, I am definitely buying it again so I can run it all in with ray tracing and stuff.
Nice.
I've watched people walk through Saint Denis with like their 4090 RTX and all the settings on maximum, and it just looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, I really want to play it all again at some point. But yeah, the storyline just gets better and better.
So quality of generally the majority of the characters are all kind of high quality, whether or not if you liked them or not, it's not the point. The point is they're all fleshed out, and you kind of understood why they did what they did, or what their ideologies all were, and why they were how they were. Even though the majority of them were nice enough people, but if you look at things from a law point of view, they were all criminals to different degrees. I mean, most of the girls, for example, were kind of thieves, weren't they? Whereas obviously the blokes did more of the kind of killing and stuff like that, but most of the girls were like thieves or setting traps, stuff like that, using their looks. And even though you can say, well, okay, they're all kind of outlaws, they were not evil people. Very few of them, with the exception probably, I mean, even Dutch, I don't know if I'd call him evil. The only one who I came across is Mika, because Mika was he's a psychopath, He reminded me a little bit of Trevor from GTA.
Yeah, definitely.
And he was the only one probably who was kind of evil, and he had his reasons for it, but justifiably was evil and was evil the whole game. Whereas Dutch, you're not sure on Dutch. He's a difficult character. Yeah. Dutch. He's probably with the exception of Arthur, he's probably the most complicated character in it, because you really don't know.
At this point in the story, you don't know.
No.
I mean, like in the Red Dead Redemption original, which is the sequel.
Yeah.
He has gone a bit insane. So
yeah. But it's like, at the start of it, I got the impression that he did actually care about these people, and even near the end, and there will be some spoilers here, folks, I'm afraid, but even near the end, when Arthur's on his deathbed almost, and even then he doesn't finish Arthur off, kind of thing. He just leaves him. He still does not, he doesn't kill Arthur, but he doesn't kill Mika either. I know what happens kind of in the prologue, but I won't say that part. But so even right to the end, he's I'm not sure what he is. I'm not sure if he's a villain. I think that he is.
Yeah, well,
master manipulator. Yeah, sorry, he's a master manipulator.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I think the reason why he walked away at the end, and this is a spoiler, obviously, discussion. So if you haven't, I mean, we've spoiled it already, but late warning.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think like the reason why he walked away is just because like there was some essence of loyalty that he felt from Arthur, and maybe he believed him that that Micah was a bit of a shithead and stuff like that.
Sold him out.
Yeah, and he kind of sort of felt sorry for him because the guy had TB, Arthur.
Yeah.
So,
and all because of a Strauss mission.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Completely unavoidable. I felt at the time, oh, maybe we can avoid it. And I tell you what, it would have been absolutely fantastic. I would have given this untold praise if on subsequent playthroughs you could avoid that mission and survive and live. And the whole sort of resulting storyline changes, that would have just been fantastic. But as it is, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about the characters for me. It's the quality of the characters, good and bad. Even some of the smaller characters leaving their mark. Even the Irish dude who gets killed off. Like, you really don't expect the Irish dude to. He literally comes into the game, spent about 10 minutes in the game, and then gets killed right away. Very unexpected. I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Liam or something? Or I Hardy or something like that? Anyway.
Something like that.
Sean, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Sean. Yeah, so they've only just brought him in. He's literally more or less the last party member you meet, and he's the first one who gets killed. So his time in the gang is very short. So they did unexpected things. I mean, I did see. Is it Jose? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
I think I saw his death coming a long time ago because you just knew it would. I felt that his death would be the thing that starts really dividing the wedge between Arthur and Dutch, and it kind of did go down that way. After Jose's death, is Arthur really starts really questioning Dutch's leadership, really, and stuff like that. So, yeah, great characters. Alan, what do you think about the characters? Any of them you liked or hated, other than Micah?
Very distinctive in terms of their voice performances. I mean, Dutch has got a great voice.
Yeah,
I think in the way he pronounces things, like Senor Bronte. The guy plays Arthur. You know, you're right.
Great voice, great voice actor. That
Lenny. Yeah. They all stick out. They're all fleshed out characters, as Nick said. You go into the camp and it's a working camp. Everyone's doing something, not just standing around or anything like that. Everyone's doing something, whether they're around a campfire, whether they're playing Five Finger Fillet, or they're playing poker, or they're saddling up a horse, putting the washing up. They're all doing something. Everyone in that camp has a job. And this is what I love about Rockstar games. Nothing is just there for, decoration. It's a working environment, no matter what game you're playing. And Red Dead is no exception. You go into a town, and the town is bustling. Saint Denis is like filled with people.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
You go along the road, you come across random people. I mean, you've probably seen the guy who's shoeing his horse. Next thing you know, the horse bucks him, and that's it. He's flat out on the. Yeah, I've seen him a few times.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Random events in the game.
A couple of weeks ago, me and Pete were talking about Elden Ring, and the big talking about that was about the open world. And I think both me and Pete agreed, even though we liked Elden Ring to different levels, nobody does open worlds as much as Rockstar.
Yeah,
there's they are the ones who do it best, and that's still the same way. And I think, Pete, even when we did our Starfield podcast, we were talking about open world and what would be the perfect company to create some of the cities in Starfield. And again, we both agreed that nobody would do it better than Rockstar. If Rockstar did all these open, it's like the Heineken adverts, isn't it? Nobody does an open world like Rockstar, and nobody comes close, really.
They fucking pioneered open world games, bro. I mean, it's like they were the ones that developed it. So it's only right that they should take that formula and master it, and they have. I just wish that CD Projekt Red had a nice in-depth discussion with them when they were doing their Cyberpunk. And it's if Rockstar are going to be arseholes about it, then all right, fair enough. But I've always been one for, share the knowledge and stuff like that, and make deals behind the scenes about, revenue or whatever. But share the love of like what you've learned about how to make bug-free open world games and stuff. And I think Bethesda could definitely take a few leaves out of Rockstar's book, but
they're not even in the same. They're not in the same conversation. I mean, they're really not.
You can't compare them. They're not in the same league. You're absolutely right. But when it comes to these types of games, Western games, Rockstar really knew what they were doing, because it just constantly reminded me of movies like the Clint Eastwood ones, a few dollars more, and all all this, all that kind of stuff. The sort of the ambiguous storyline, but you knew what was happening anyway. I mean, this is something that Miyazaki can actually learn a lot from. The guy who does the Souls-like games, and I fell in love with the story a lot more, and there was a specific point where I realized how good this game actually was, and that's when in the main quest you come back from the island. You get stuck on an island for some while, and it's completely unexpected. I mean, like, you had it before when they went from the first camp in the snow to the second camp. You had this song play whilst the camera was flying about and sort of like giving all this establishing shots of the next area of the.
Pete, I've got to resist from playing that song right now. I've got it literally queued up. So if I play it, we'll get copyrighted. So continue.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably not a good idea. But
no, I won't.
So so you come back from the island and you're so exhausted, and I remember just sort of being like, "Oh my god, that was exhausting." Okay, now we have to find out what's happened to the camp. And so you're riding back to the camp, and this other song kicks in, and you just don't expect it, and you just go to the cinematic mode and just sit back, and the tears started rolling from my eyes, and I wasn't entirely sure at the time why, and I guess it was just an amalgamation of everything that I think Arthur had gone through, and it was just such a perfect moment to have that song come in, and it just made me realize that there are some talented people at Rockstar who know what they're doing when it comes to narrative.
There's no denying that they have great storytelling abilities, especially with that game. I mean, you can look at some of the GTA games, and I don't know how good a story. I mean, this isn't a GTA podcast, but were any of us really thinking that GTA 5 had a great story? I mean, it was all right.
No, I didn't like the story much. What about you, Al?
Yeah, it was okay. I like the mission based on Heat, where three main characters go to the bank,
do the heists and everything. Yeah.
And then it turns into a big shootout, and that's from Heat. That really is.
Yeah.
I preferred the fourth one better, GTA 4.
It was alright, apart from Nico, let's go bowling. Nico, let's go see a show.
Let's go see a show.
Yeah.
I think for the storyline for me, Pete, I think the best part in the storyline for me, other than probably the part where you ride back to the camp at the end of the game and the music, the very good music, the other song that I really like in it, and the voiceover is, if you've played honourably, I might add, as all the good deeds you've done, kind of like, so it's like Arthur's like weighing up his life, his conscience is kind of coming out and talking to him. But there's just before that is a bit where, slightly before that, a couple of missions before, I think Arthur talks to Dutch, and then Arthur says something like, and I can't remember the exact verbiage, Arthur says something like, "I'm going to have to insist on it."
Yeah.
And the look on Dutch's face when he says it, and then Dutch turns around and goes, "Insist?" Because it's like the first time ever that he's being questioned properly by Arthur.
Yeah.
Arthur's like risen up and he's kind of talking to him on an equal level, and Dutch does not know how to process this because he's always been the kind of stronger guy, right? He's always been the one in charge. He's always been the stronger man, the bigger man. And it's the first time Arthur's kind of really stood up to him properly. Arthur's argued with him. Quite often Arthur would argue with him, but nowhere near to this gravitas that Arthur is saying, yeah, I'm insisting that the rest of the camp stay here. I think that's what it is. He's insisting that the women and the children stay here or are not involved. And he really stands up to him. And that part for me, I was just like, oh my God. When he said that, I was like, oh my God.
It's definitely a turning point, like I think that Arthur was starting to see that Dutch was maybe going a bit doolally and maybe becoming a bit reckless, and so he sort of steps up, and he's high up in the ranks anyway, Arthur.
Well, he's like second in command already, isn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, so
I think this was probably the turning point where Arthur literally became the sort of the pseudo leader, and Dutch was starting to sort of see his failings, perhaps, and that it says so much when you said, and he turns around and goes, really, but there's
Like
there's a
he
lot.
can't believe like Arthur's talking to this way. It's like he'd never imagined that Arthur would have the balls to kind of say these things to him, and he does.
Yeah.
And Arthur stands his ground. Like I say, it's such a kind of powerful moment where they become equal status. It's like at that point in time, they become equal status, and if they would have chosen sides right then and there, I reckon it would be pretty 50-50 if they would have done that right then and there.
Yeah.
Because Arthur had risen up. Most of the women and everything would have definitely joined Arthur's side. Most of the blokes probably would have stayed on Dutch's, but no, mate, I love that part, at least for me. How about you, Alan?
Yeah, it was definitely a turning point. Arthur's caught on. Now he's caught on to the constant thing he keeps asking Dutch throughout the, and everyone else keeps asking Dutch throughout the game. What about the money at Blackwater? When are we going to go back for that? Where's it hidden and all that kind of stuff? And he says, "Don't worry, we'll get it in time. But let's just concentrate on going to, get on a boat and going to Australia or somewhere." I think he says, and it's always the answer he gives. Don't worry about it. We're just going to concentrate on getting away from here and getting on a boat and going.
Yeah, I can't sing this praises enough for this game. I really can't. I mean, like, there's so many thoughts swimming through my mind. The whole side story with Arthur's wife or ex-wife, whatever. He meets up with her in Saint Denis, doesn't he? And he goes through that whole thing. And there's a moment towards the end where she's willing to accept him for what he is, or he's willing to change and says, there will be a point where I'm done with the gang and then I'll come and find you. And she's like, okay, cool. So she's going to be somewhere expecting for Arthur to return to her, and he's never going to arrive. And I felt like, that was really, really sad.
Yeah.
But it's all these little narratives that the game weaves as you play the game. You don't see them coming. And that's what I loved about it the most. And, when he discovers that he has TB and there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do about it, I was still praying. I was like, maybe there's something. And then when you meet this American Indian guy,
you think there's some kind of cure, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you think that he's going to turn around and say, "Oh, I've got something that maybe would help," and he just, when Arthur tells him, he just turns around and says, "Oh, I feel for you," and that's it. And you're like, "Oh man," like, all your hopes are dashed.
Pete, can you think of, and Alan as well, can you think of any other game which has more or less have you playing a character who is dying for at least half the game? Halfway through the game, he finds out that he's dying, and it's made pretty apparent, even though I understand what Pete's saying about the Indian. I too felt that way, that maybe there was a way out, but it's very much, no, you're pretty much told by the doctor, no, this is
you're fucked,
uncurable, that's it, and you haven't got kind of long. And so you're a dead man for half the game. You're technically a dead man walking. I mean, it's a big character change for Arthur, because that is one of the reasons why he does kind of change his ways, because it's like, well, I've got nothing to kind of lose anymore. I'm leaving anyway. It's one of those things. So I'm going to try and do as much good as I can before I go, if you play the honourable version. So
I don't think there is one. I think this was like the first time. I might be wrong.
I can't think of one.
Post your comments in the section below if you feel like there is.
I must also point out that when you've got TB in the late stages of the game, when I first played this game, I noticed I hadn't done a lot of the side quests, and I started doing them later in the game. My God, running while you've got TB is near impossible, because you get out of breath so quickly.
What happens is that basically, if on your stat sheet there's like a health meter, which you think is just like kind of a little bit of window dressing, right? Because for the first part of the game, you're always classed as healthy. Only later on in the game do you realise it starts going down and you can't stop it, and you become more and more unhealthy, and stuff becomes harder to do. And there's nothing. It's pretty depressing, because it's like there's no like item in the game that can like fix it. It's just like you just get worse and worse, and that's a part of the game. Yeah.
I remember riding in Saint Denis, and sort of like just everything was fine. Arthur, you see Arthur just slowly slumping.
He just falls down, doesn't he?
He just falls off the horse and goes unconscious. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And it fades up to the doctor's clinic. Yeah, fuck, man. It just, the way it does these things, man. Rockstar were literally maestros. You know, it was like the conductor of an orchestra, and just literally, it was their magnum opus. This game, I feel it was
100%.
Yeah,
and the fact that you played the dying character for the second half of the game, it really, I mean,
it changes so many things, doesn't it?
And it changes you as well, because you're living vicariously, of course you are, from this character, and then it begins. Well, it did for me anyway. It came through to real life, and it does make you question your mortality.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, folks, when you're younger, you won't worry about it, but when you start getting older, believe me, you start thinking about it more and more.
Yep.
And that game, even if you are younger, will make you think about it.
Yeah.
What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? How do you want to leave the world? And all this stuff becomes such a big part of in the second half of the game, because it's about Arthur trying to kind of do what's right with the time he's got left, and it really can, if you really think about it. And it made me think about it, so it had that effect on me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole mechanic of him sort of dreaming about. I mean, it depends on your morality meter, but for me, being as good as I could be, I would always dream of a stag, and whenever the stag appeared, you felt something. And when he appears at the end, the stag, it's just like the tears come rolling. You know, you're just like, oh, I can't believe that, you know, he's dead after all of this, after all he did. The good he tried to do, he kind of changes his ways when he discovers the STB, as you said, and it's so sad. You know, I've watched so many people play that last bit, and
they all break down. They all break down crying. And I don't think I've seen one of them who hasn't.
Even Angry Joe did.
Yeah.
Your late mother, Ellen. God rest her soul. Used to love watching you play this. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah, she loved westerns. You know, she used to. You know, I used to sit with her and my dad. We used to watch stuff like High Plains Drifter and the Leone Dollars trilogy and stuff like that. So yeah, she used to sit there quite happily, watch me play Red Dead Redemption. She'd tell me off if I ran the horse into a tree or a rock. I wouldn't do this intentionally, obviously, but he always had that annoying animation where you're on this horse and you're galloping as fast as you can. Next thing you know, you hit a fucking rock or a tree, and my mum tells me off, saying, "What are you doing to the poor horse?" Yeah, when I used to shoot people, she would tell me off, especially if it was, you know, a cold-blooded murder. I know I'd just have a bad day and I think I was going to kill someone.
Just open fire on the on pigs.
I mean, I used to love it when bounty hunters used to come searching for me. I used to love that. You know, you're on the plains with your horse, and then these three, 4, sometimes some 5, 6 dots would appear. Red dots would appear on your little HUD.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, here they come. They're annoying when they bring the dogs with them. When the dogs are annoying. If it's just like the bounty hunters on horseback, no problem. And I would be horrible to them. I would actually force them near the train tracks. And I'd shoot them all. I would shoot them all dead, or at least wound one of them, or actually not wound him. I would actually lasso him, hog tie him, and carry him to the train tracks and leave him there. And sometimes I'll just get on my horse and I'll just stand there and wait for the train to come. And you know, you can antagonize them. You just piss them off, and they start, you're not gonna get away with this, son. You're gonna get a lot of trouble. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right.
It's just the amount of YouTube videos of that very sort of scenario. Yeah.
So I used I don't know. My mum says, "You're okay?" I went, "Yeah, I'm absolutely fine, Mum." I said, "These guys asked for this. I didn't ask them to come hunting for me. This is what they get for it."
Oh yeah, no, I used to love all of those road encounters. Like, you know, there would be some poor lady saying, "Oh my God, help me, please!" And then you get off the horse and sort of like, "Oh, you know, what's the problem?" And then you get ambushed. And you kill them all. You kill them all, then she'd be like, start running away. Yeah, I mean, like before I discovered that Arthur had TB, I would just gun him down. But ever since, I was more kind.
I think in that instance, once I actually started running, and I thought, okay, I did pull my rifle out. I had my pretty much I've got my gun trained on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, nah, do you know what? I've got a better idea. So I'll put the gun away. I jump on my horse. I get my lasso out. So I'd run her down and I'll lasso her from the horse, and I'll start dragging her until she was dead.
Oh, you fucking evil bastard! I mean, like, at least give it a clean death.
No.
No.
Speaking of evil, did we all play honourably then? I'm assuming, well, maybe not Alan, but I'm assuming the rest of us played honourably.
You can tell if you played honourably or not. On IP, you can go to the pause menu, you can check it there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, if you go to Arthur's grave, there's 2 versions of the grave, if you've played honourably or not. And apparently my grave is not honourable, so...
I started being a bit of a renegade. I just, I think it was my mood at the time, and I just started being sort of a bit, what's the right word? Intolerant of people, and it's just like, oh, whatever, blam, shot in the head, all that kind of thing. But then as the story progressed, I started to realise, and I got really sad for Arthur, and realised that he wanted to try and do some good. So I was trying to steer him towards that way, and then the stag appears and all that kind of thing.
I'm a little bit the same. I think I found out pretty early on, just because I like screwing around with mechanics sometimes, that it was actually pretty easy to get your honour back. Stupidly easy, because you just have to go into a town and say hello to everybody.
Yeah.
And for like every 2 or 3 people that you said hello to, you got a bit of honour back. So if you felt like being a bit of a bastard for a while, you could, and then I'd just go around the town and just get it all back. But generally from a roleplay kind of spot, I'm like you, Pete, that it depends how I feel the character is. So Arthur starts off being obviously a bit more on the kind of bad guy side, per se. And then, of course, he changes. And after you get the TV stuff, it became very apparent to me, like, he wants to leave the world in a better place than when he left it. And that was his motivation. So it didn't feel right, really, doing a lot of the things that maybe I would have done in the first half of the game. So, yeah, I think I agree with you, Pete, that it was a change after he finds out he's dying. And it becomes about him leaving the world in a better place. That's how it was in my mind. So he wouldn't do those things anymore. He's just like, no, it's just pointless kind of thing to do those things.
I think for me, the whole point of the story is to sort of to make an example of, despite the fact that all these people are outlaws, they're still people, and there's always an element of good and bad in every person, and you can sort of change and do things for the better and all that. And yes, it's the Wild West, and it's the turn of the 20th century, and things are changing, and they're still stuck in their old ways, and they don't want things to change. There's so many different dynamics coming through on the story, and I think that's just why it was so captivating to so many people, certainly for me. But unless anyone has anything more to say, I think we should move on to our final ratings.
I think I'd like to give a small shout out to the soundtrack, Pete.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Me and you spoke about this on Skype the other day about, like, is it the best soundtrack for a game? I think it probably is. I can't think. I mean, there's at least 2 songs that I absolutely love in that game. The fact that there's 2, not just 1, says a lot, right? And even though the rest of the song is pretty good as well, but there's certainly 2 which are just like 2 of my favourite songs in games ever.
Yeah.
So I can't think of another. There's been other good songs in games. I'm not saying this is the only time there's been a good song in a game, but to have 2 of them that I really love in one game, I can't think of probably another game that's had 2 songs that are probably always going to stick with me forever.
Well, for me, there's 2 right at the top. And this is one of them. The other one will be Witcher 3.
That's some good ones. Yeah.
I mean, like, there weren't really sort of songs in that title, but
you're thinking of the battle song that I am, and now you're also thinking of Anku J doing a dance. That's what's coming in my head right now, Pete.
Yeah. But no, like, overall, the score of Witcher 3 was just really amazing, and the same with this one as well. It just they knew what to do. You knew you were in good hands. Alan, what do you think?
Just want to, I know we touched on side missions.
Yeah.
That side mission, you just come across this random sort of pig farm.
Okay.
And this guy sort of coaches you into the house. He said, "You want to come in? You want something to eat? You want something to drink?"
Yes. Yeah. I remember.
Oh, kind of this sort of incestuous brother and sister.
Yeah.
He's quite a portly gentleman.
Yeah.
In dungarees. And they drug you, don't they? And they throw you out like a mile away or something.
Isn't it insinuated that they did things to you while you're asleep? It is, isn't it? It is, isn't it?
I think that's the other guy that, near Saint Denis.
Yeah.
That's another guy who.
You're like a big boy. It's not like that, is it?
I think that's the other guy near Saint Denis.
Okay.
If you go in there, apparently he knocks you cold, and then you wake up and all your meters are low, your health's gone, your stamina's gone, and you're thinking, you dirty fucker. I went straight in there with I gave him full force.
I think we all did.
I unloaded a whole round on him.
We all did.
That probably sounds horrible.
You went full force on him, man.
I felt violated. So yeah, I got my gun out and unloaded a full load on him. That's gonna sound.
Just keep them coming, Alan.
Yeah,
just keep those puns coming.
There's puns coming. Yeah,
another
random encounter.
Yeah, another side quest was the whole Morphes. I think they were called. There's like this gang who were just really wrong. They lived in a cave. And,
I remember them.
Oh, them lot. That's sort of cannibals, aren't they? Almost.
Yeah, just really, really dodgy, really weird, just so unsettling.
Oh, I had fun shooting them too.
But I mean, like, the game, the visuals, when it went to a cutscene, it was just absolutely superb. You couldn't fault any of the graphics in any way whatsoever.
Oh.
The dynamic weather, and the populace. When like the public and like all the civilians and all of that, it's just every single tiny thing was fantastic, and there was only a few minor reasons that are nitpicks. Like when we've discussed that at the beginning of this podcast, but those put aside, for me. It's a 10 out of 10, and I wish I could give it more than a 10 out of 10. This gets the highest praise of a video game, and there's only a small handful of games, in my view, that get 10 out of 10. The other two really being Witcher 3 and Bioshock.
Cool.
So, Nick, what's your score?
I can't give any game a 10 because that means it can't ever be improved upon in my mind. So not a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an issue with the beginning hour. I think it's dull. I think it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an issue with the island stuff as well. That feels out of place to me. It feels really out of place to me, like it's from a different game. It's hard to explain. I didn't enjoy that either.
Okay.
So those two small things I didn't enjoy. Mechanics a bit too slow. I think it could be sped up. There's no reason why it can't. The lore system is absolute shite, but that goes for every game ever made. I've never seen a good lore system yet. So I don't think I can go above a 9, but it's like the highest 9.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 9. It could be improved upon, but not by that much.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. Those are very valid points. For me, it was all good.
It's certainly easily the best cowboy game. Not that there's actually that much competition.
Yeah.
It's probably Rockstar's best game. Some people might say GTA 5. No, I think this is better than GTA 5.
No, this is their magnum opus for sure.
Yeah. And story-based games, there's not many better stories. There's not many better stories in games. I can't think of many. Arthur Morgan is a fantastic character, maybe the best protagonist in a video game, if not the best. Again, he's in a conversation.
Yeah.
So you put all those things a 9, and maybe I'm not generous enough, but I'll say a 9. I think a 9's a good place for me.
Okay, Alan, what do you give it?
I will give it a 9.5.
Okay.
The whole beginning part with the snow, it's annoying. It's really, really annoying. But you get this great sense of joy when you're doing this mission and you're following the party towards this train, and you can see the snow disappearing, and you can see the soil in this trail, thinking, "Oh, we're leaving. We're finally leaving this snow area."
Thank God.
The joy of that, and then you just go into, you see the trees, the grass. You can see a lake. You think, "Oh, look at this gorgeous, beautiful vista here."
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. The island mission, annoying. It is annoying, but you've got so much to play with when you're in the main map. So much to play with.
Yeah.
So a break from that is welcome. I mean, maybe the island went on a bit too long, longer than it needed to be. But like Nick says, nothing's perfect. I'd love to give it a 10, but it's a 9.5.
I loved it, and I'm very forgiving when it comes to these kinds of things, and I liked all of it. I mean, as you said, the only niggling things was the justice system, and then certain sort of animations that repeated themselves. Yeah, and then sort of like having to fend off a jaguar or a fucking,
Oh, those fucking things! Oh yeah,
a bear or something. Just like, oh fuck me, and you can be as powerful as you like, mate, but you're still going to get your arse eaten by a bear if you catch it at the wrong time.
Or that random bear attack you get.
Oh God's sake!
I've done that one. You're going for a pipe or something.
Yeah.
There's this tiny little shack, and then this bloody bear just bursts.
Oh God! Yeah. It's just like fucking shit your pants, cake in my pants. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like so it's 10.99. Sorry, 10.9.5, and if you haven't played this game, honestly, and you want a good experience with games, then you really should give this one a go as your first title. So yeah, you
can get it pretty cheap nowadays. I mean, talk about value for money, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Like £25 now. I think that's the highest it's been.
Yeah.
Bargain.
I've seen it a bit lower, but there's rumours of Red Dead 3.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's coming out.
Yeah.
It won't be until after GTA 6. That'll be the one they do after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did they?
Where would they set it though, guys? I mean, where would you take? Would you play as Jack Marston then, or would you go back, or would it be another prequel where you go back even further?
Yeah. Good point. I don't know. Are they remastering Red Dead 1 again? Or
they were meant to be, but they stopped because do you know why? It's because the GTA collection remastered, because that was shit on so much by the public.
Okay.
And the sales weren't very good, with good reason, because they did such a shoddy job of it.
Yeah.
They cancelled it, which really sucks, because I would love to play Red Dead 1 again.
They should have just rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Because pretty much the map is Red Dead 2.
Yeah, the map's in the second game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same map. So just you got the assets right there. You just got to do maybe re-record the dialogue.
There wouldn't be that much work to do, surely.
And the thing is, it would sell well as well. Of course, it would sell well.
Oh, of course.
Because people, the fact that, and this is something that I spoke to Alan about before. Why is there no single-player DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2? Why isn't there anything? Why not? I mean, everyone would lap that up. I know I would.
I didn't play. I'm gonna say this now. I didn't play beyond the point when Arthur died. That was, to me, was the end.
I played some, but I didn't. But I actually believe the only one of us who actually finished it is Alan, because I didn't.
Yep.
I didn't do all of it. I stopped about halfway through because I felt a little bit like you, Pete. Eventually,
I just felt
it's interesting.
Go on.
Cool. Sorry, I was going to say it's interesting because if there's some side quest that you started off as Arthur,
you could finish it as him, couldn't you?
John can finish the mission for you, and then you go back to the quest giver, and they'll be like, "Who are you?" And you're thinking, "Oh, a friend of mine asked me to do this for you. He's gone now. He's passed away."
Okay.
And the quest gives give their condolences and stuff. I thought, oh, that's a nice little touch.
Yeah. I just felt like I didn't want to carry on after Arthur was gone. I was too upset.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I
tried.
You
visit Arthur's grave.
Yeah, but still, it was just like, how can you expect me to
visit all the graves of everyone who's died?
And also, if you've been honourable, like Alan said, the graves are different, and I think the ex-wife is the ex-wife there, or is it that she leaves a flower or something, or a note? She leaves something, doesn't she?
It's something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a little bit of a continuation that, but based on what you said earlier, what happens to her is that she obviously must find out about Arthur's death because she leaves something on his grave.
Okay.
So that insinuates that she actually went to his grave. I thought she might have been there, but I don't think that's right. I think I'm remembering that wrong. But she leaves something there from her on his grave. It's a note or something. I can't remember exactly. But something that lets you know that she was there, that she'd been there to visit his grave.
Oh, so tragic.
So she did find out of it in the end that,
yeah,
that he died. What happened to him?
Oh well. Anyway, that is our review of Red Dead 2. Just a tour de force of a game, and absolutely stunning. Can't really fault it much at all. So yeah, there we go.
Not really. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That'll do it. We'll see you guys next time. If you liked what you heard, then please give us a subscribe, give us a comment, click the bell, give it a good old slap, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Cool, man.
Welcome.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.